Okay, Chase Kosterlitz here with Blue Zone Stand-Up Paddle Surf Retreats, Nosara, Costa Rica, and today we are going to go over backside paddle placement when you're surfing backside. And we're going to talk a little bit about foot placement, but the main thing I want to focus on is paddle placement. And it's often, I feel like, overlooked or not really talked about, but it can make all of the difference when you're backside surfing. Certainly, frontside surfing, it's important, but I feel like backside even more so because your hips are not facing the wave. So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to play forward, and this is a good wave because it shows different paddling, different placement of the paddle backside. So I'm dropping in, I'm nice and low. It's a bit of a late drop, and I want you to look how my paddle is on my front side. And again, I'm going left, I'm regular foot here, but it could apply if you're goofy and you're going right, obviously, as well. So my paddle is on my front side and I'm coming into a kind of a critical section. I'm dropping with a lot of speed. I'm nice and low. And I'm coming here, and now the first thing you're going to see is switching my paddle. Okay? And I'm switching my paddle because what that's going to allow me to do is when I get to the bottom of the wave here and the wave's kind of pitching, I want you to notice my eyes are looking out and a bit over my shoulder because where the head and the eyes look, the hips and feet will follow. So I'm doing that, and what putting my paddle on this side is going to allow me to do is it's going to allow my hips to open up more to the wave, which is going to allow me to put more pressure on my back foot, which is going to allow me to be a little bit more aggressive with this bottom turn, as opposed to if I have my paddle over on my front side. It's not the worst thing in the world, but I have nothing to lean on to really engage the rail, and I'm not going to be able to open my hips quite as much because my arms are going to be kind of pulling my hips this way if my paddle was in front. So eyes are there. My back foot is going to be going to that inside rail. Front foot, I want close to the middle of the board, if not in the middle, but I tend to not do the best job. And sometimes I get my foot a little bit too much on the rail on the front, but try to have that front foot in the middle. So I'm going to come here, look at my eyes, look at the paddle now on the inside. So now I'm engaging that rail. I'm looking over my shoulder, and that paddle is acting as a brace. I'm not leaning on it too much, but look at my hips opening up and my eyes on the prize right here as I go for my turn. But again, if my paddle's on this side, on my front side, I'm not going to really, it's not as natural of a motion to open up my hips. It's not the wrong thing, but because I have all that speed and I'm coming down, I wanted to put my paddle on the inside. All right, and now as I come here, I'm leaning on that paddle. My eyes are on the wave. I'm engaging the rail. Now, I've already released the paddle, and as I come here, I'm coming for a turn. I'm bringing my paddle over to the other side. And why is that? Because I want my hips to rotate. So it's almost as if your hips can lead, but if I feel like a lot of times if you lead with your arms, your hips are going to just naturally follow. And that seems to be a more natural way for me to think about it and to teach it, is not necessarily move your hips as you come through this turn to drive the board around, but shift the paddle, and then your hips are going to naturally come over and follow as you come through this turn. Now my hips are helping to rotate the board the other way, and it's just more natural. If I left the paddle over there, I'm not going to be able to lean on it here, and my hips aren't going to be able to rotate through this turn as I come here. And now I want you to watch. I'm putting pressure on that back foot. Front foot is relatively in the middle. There you have the handle in the middle of the board, pressing on that back foot. And the paddle comes around, and now I want you to watch what I do. As I come around, I'm switching my hands again. And again, that's just kind of a natural thing that my hands are following my hips. You can leave the paddle in the hands like this, but then it's kind of awkward, and stylistically, I like the way it looks when I switch my hands completely as I come out of the turn. My hips follow. Now my eyes are back on the prize. I'm back looking out in the next section. I'm nice and low with my knees bent, staying a bit high to gain speed. And now watch. I've just completed the turn, switched my hands as I went through the turn, but now I'm going to switch them back to the inside again, just like I did on that drop, because I want to come here and lean on the rail, lean on the paddle. I'm eyeing up the section. Again, my hips and the lower half of my body are going to follow my eyes and my head as I look over my shoulder at this section. I'm leaning on the paddle here. And remember, you don't have to bottom turn with the paddle on this side, but I like to encourage people to try it. And we'll certainly go over in my next turn what happens when you don't switch the paddle. But my hips are rotating here. My torso is open to the wave. I could do the same thing with my paddle on the front side, but it's a bit harder, and it's almost a little bit like cheating with the paddle on your inside here, where it allows me to bury that rail where I have something to lean on. You can see that my fin coming out of the water, my outside fin, because my inside rail is engaged. And I'm going to come up, and then same thing as that last turn, I'm going to start to rotate by placing my paddle on the inside. I'm leaning on that paddle. My hips are following the paddle through. And again, for stylistically and for complete rotation, I'm switching my hands and switching the paddle here. Got nice spray out the back. Now this last turn, I'm going to do the same similar bottom turn as the two turns before, but I'm leaving my paddle on the outside. Same thing. Eyes are on the prize. I'm looking at the wave. Okay. I'm leaning. I still am able to get that fin out of the water and get that rail engaged. I'm nice and low, but I get a little bit high. I'm still pretty low, but I have a little bit less balance. But it's also something to practice. So if you find yourself putting the paddle on the inside every time, try leaving it on the outside, and vice versa. If it's always on the outside, try putting it on the inside for variations. But here is where the outside bottom turn backside, outside bottom turn backside, having the paddle on the outside is really valuable for this bottom turn, because I have a kind of an end section closeout. And what this is going to allow me to do is I came with that bottom turn with my paddle on the outside. Now as I rotate, my paddle is already there. I'm not having to switch hands, and I'm coming for this critical off the top, and I get vertical, and look what I have. I have that paddle there for bracing. So as I come down, the paddle is there to brace, and there's strong offshores on this day, and I got a little bit too vertical, so I actually come out the back of the wave here. But I come out the back of the wave standing because I have all kinds of control with the paddle on the inside. So I'm going to play that wave forward again one more time. I'm going to play it in real time so you see. So paddle switch, lean, switch again as I come through the turn. Now switch to the inside. Switch again as I come through the turn. Now it's on this side, already there as I come off the top. So I'll play that one more time, and then we'll do it in slow motion. Okay, so paddle's on the outside as I drop in. I determine that I want to really lean on that rail. I want to have it on the inside, so I can bury that rail, be a little bit aggressive here as I come off the top after my bottom turn. So I'm eyeing up this section off the top. As I come through the turn, I'm switching hands. Again, that's really critical that you switch to complete the turn so your hips can rotate. And like I said, stylistically, I like the way that looks a lot better than not switching sides, because now I can just come back, lean on that rail again, eyeing up the section, engaging with that back foot pressure, rotating the hips. I could get a little bit more vertical. It's something I want to work on in my backside surfing, is getting more vertical with the board on the section. But as I come through, switching hands. Again, I can't stress how important that is, to switch hands as you complete the turn. It's not necessary, but it'll just surprise you at how much better it looks. And then, especially these end sections, I've really loved having the paddle on the outside because it gives me a lot of confidence as I come off the top of this critical section that I have my paddle right here to lean on. And then if I hadn't got maybe so much back foot pressure and if the offshores weren't quite so strong, I would have come down with the lip. But I have all sorts of control because I'm leaning on that paddle on the inside. So I hope this helps you practice your backside surfing, switching hands, switching which side you have the paddle on when you're going backside, whether it's the inside like I have right here on your bottom turn, or leaving it on the outside on your bottom turn to mix it up and practice rotating your hips all the way through. Hope you enjoyed this video. Give us a shout. Visit bluezonesup.com. Would love to have you down in Nosara for a retreat where this particular wave was filmed. Is one of our favorite waves. We have a lot of favorite waves, but you'll notice no one else in the water. We had a couple other, we had some campers this week, but we had the whole place to ourselves, and it is a really great spot. So thanks for watching, and hope to see you on the water or online.